it's a hard job. I mean, because we didn't speak about this, but my job is hard because I mean, when most of the people is on holiday, I'm working, so. But people they say you've been brave to do this, to make this choice, and for me it's like, hey, haven't been brave. It's just go, try, do. I've been brave in a very short moment. In the moment in which
you decide,
you switch, but then everything came so easily, so much easily than it used to be before. So I really encourage people that are willing to, without doing strange things, because we also have to talk about this. There are so many people saying, oh, tomorrow I leave everything and I go in Mexico and I open my chiringuito and I sell cocktails and that's it. And I will live on the beach. And it's not like this. Of course, you will work hard, also because you will restart from zero, but it will never be restarting from zero because your background is always with you. Is always with you like a blanket, and will protect you and will give you many skills to do much better.
So thank you so much, Marta, for being on our show. And one of the key lessons that I want to share with this episode is that everything that you do with your heart and hard work is around you like a blanket, like a safety blanket. So what Marta really means is, in the moment of decision or indecision, when you are right close to making, a right or a wrong choice, trust on that safety blanket. It will support you even if you are wrong. Go get it. Jack of all. Thank you so much. Welcome everyone. This is Adi Naidu, your host for Jack of All. And today I have someone very, very special. And this was totally unplanned because Mansa and I are actually on a trip, on a vacation to Venice. So I met someone really interesting. And this is what Jack of All is really about. Finding people who are Jack of Alls and understanding how they do it. Today I have someone very special are you a Venetian?
Yes, from Venice.
From Venice.
Yes.
Marta.
Hi.
Hi, Marta.
Thank you.
Marta, introduce yourself to me like I just landed here on a boat and I have no idea where we are sitting, what this is, and who you are.
Okay. So welcome. This is the kitchen where I give my cooking classes and where sometimes I cook for my clients. My name is Marta. I am 53 years old and I'm a cook. I have two daughters that study in the university. I'm a Venetian and I have quite a long past with other experiences. So
amazing. So right now you are a chef.
Yes, I prefer to call myself a cook.
Exactly.
Because chef is a bit more like, being on the top of something. I prefer to be like in the kitchen, simply in the kitchen, like an Italian mother or like a normal person in the kitchen. Yes.
And when we talk about Venice or being a Venetian, have you spent any significant time of your life outside of Venice?
I've spent all my life in Venice, but I'm quite a good traveler, so I've been traveling quite a lot since from my childhood, because my parents, they were very fond of archaeology, so we've been traveling around all the Mediterranean, Greece, Turkey, and I've been traveling quite a lot by myself.
Wow!
As well.
So did you go to different schools outside of Venice, or your schooling and every formal education was here in Venice?
My formal education, which is architecture, was in Venice. So I have been studying in Venice all my life.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Do you like or miss any other place that you've been outside of Venice before?
Well, I'm one of those people who, before leaving, are always like, I don't want to leave, maybe. And then when I go to a place, then I fall in love, and I don't want to move from here anymore. But one of my favorite places in life life and where I've been really feeling I was there, it's Brazil.
Brazil?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yes.
It's a beautiful place and I also want to go there.
Yeah.
So tell me, which part of Venice are we in? Where is this set up and
We
what
are
are we doing today?
we are in Dorso Duro.
Mhm.
Dorso Duro is a neighborhood, is a sestiere, which is Venice city is divided in 6 quarters, like sestieri. We are in Dorso Duro, which is in the city center, but it's a little bit out of all the touristic, massive touristic areas. Is a more residential area, is more a place where local lives, where students, university students have their places where they go and where there still are shops for making groceries for locals. And well, we're a little bit out of the over tourism, let's say, over touristic areas, let's say.
And this is a cooking school.
Yes, this is a cooking school that was renovated by a company I collaborate with. We started in 2020. And then the pandemic arrived, so we stopped for a while, for quite a long while, and then we have restarted.
Wow.
I'm not the only one cooking in this kitchen. There are other people as well because sometimes I'm busy with my other things, and we're sort of a team of a group of people.
So tell me, why do you do what you do today? Why do you cook?
Oh, well, it really happened by chance. Because I have another background, as I told you before, and I was in between one job and another job that never arrived because in the end cooking became my job. And I was working at that time I had just finished working for the European Parliament as a consultant for a parliamentarian, an Italian parliamentarian. And I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do after this. So I was like writing my CV and trying to think about in which field, because I am an architect. I was born as an architect, but I have quite good skills, I think, like in public relation and so. So I was writing my CV. At a certain point, a friend of mine told me, well, we are giving cooking classes in an Italian school for foreigners. There is in Venice. Do you want to join us? But this was like, do you want to join us? So we spent some time together, like for fun. And I said, okay, of course. And there has been a moment in which I felt I was, in Italian we say, the mice into the cheese. Like, when you are happy and you are in the place where you wanted to be, but you didn't know you wanted to be there, and you realize that you are there. Then we have been very lucky because in the end we have been contacted from interesting clients who really gave us a chance, and we have been also very aggressive in a way because we decided to face all this, saying, okay, we've been cooking for our families for years, we are able to cook also for other people. So all this started like this.
Awesome.
And it ended up that after 1 year of playing with this, I said, maybe this is my job now.
That's very interesting.
Yes. So the CV remained in the computer.
Makes sense. So let me go back to architecture.
Yes.
I know you did not mean it the way you said it, but I see where the passion comes from. You have a lineage of architects in your family. Mm-hmm. And I want to know whether you were interested in architecture or was this something that you were born into? And secondly, what does Venetian architect even do? That's the real question. So
it's a good question. I come from a family of architects from a few generations. So I've been breathing architecture in my entire childhood. So it ended up being quite normal to do that, even though my father didn't want me to study architecture. But it ended up being easier for me because I had heard speaking about this subject for all my life long. So I went there, and I really enjoyed studying architecture. I like very much history of architecture, history of art, and so. And I ended up working as an architect. What does an architect
Venetian architect do?
do? Lots of renovation.
Ah.
Because in
Restorations?
Italy, yes, in the US you divide architecture with interior design. In Italy is more connected, so you can make like a renovation. You take care of all the architectural side of it, but also of the decoration.
And what is the technical part of the study that you have to go through, like engineering, drawings and 3D?
Yes, yes.
Can you share like, a couple
Well,
of things?
I had studied with pencil.
Ah.
The computer arrived while I was studying.
Ah.
The computer arrived while I was studying, and I got degreed with a thesis. I don't know if you say so in
Thesis, yeah.
Thesis,
Yeah, I got my thesis as well.
made with the software.
Oh wow.
Yes,
That's
but
amazing.
my first exams were with pen and pencil.
Amazing. So
Yes.
did you actually work as an architect, or did you study architecture and then you moved on to
No,
something
no, no.
else?
I've been working as an architect for 10 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Can you share like a few interesting projects that you've done and things like that?
Not huge things. I've been working a couple of years in a studio, in a big studio. Then I got married and I have had a child, and then I've opened my own studio.
Oh,
so I
wow.
have had my own small company where I've been working for like 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Going back to the question, your father did not expect you to be
Yes.
an architect or be successful architect. What did typical Venetian fathers of that time expect of their daughters?
Well, no, it's not a good question, I tell you, because they didn't really expect something from a daughter.
Which is great.
Yes, they
Okay.
didn't really expect something from a daughter. And my parents have always been very, very open-minded anyway. But I'm not from that time
I see.
in which you expect from your daughter to get married or just to study literature and then get married. In the bourgeoisie, you would study literature, learn piano,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
get married.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
fortunately,
Yeah.
it was not like this.
Tell me about your direct family, your father, mom, and who else?
It's just me. I'm the only daughter.
You're the only daughter.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So were you like a loved daughter, or
Yes.
more of a what kind of a childhood did you have?
Amazing
Yeah?
childhood.
It was
I'm-
encouraging.
Pardon?
Were your parents encouraging you to do different things?
Yes.
And
Yes.
Can you share what you think of your childhood?
It's been an extremely happy childhood because in Venice, as a child, you can run around by yourself. You get very independent very soon because it's a very safe place where to grow as a child because you don't have cars, and the safe itself is very
Yeah.
easy and safe. So I could go around by myself. As a little girl and have my keys and that was very nice.
Yeah.
And then with my parents I've been traveling a lot, sailing a lot, so I've had really happy and lucky.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So do you know how to drive a car?
It's a good question. That's amazing.
Just a second. For all the viewers, I don't want to sound patronizing, but Venice is all about boats. There are no single car. There are no roads here. So it's a legit question to Marta. Have you ever learned how to drive a car, and how did that work out?
I tell you, it's funny because I took the driving license at the age of 33 because I was with a friend of mine in the mountains skiing the Dolomites, and she broke a leg. So I realized that I really needed to have a driving license. So the day after I came back to Venice and I took driving lessons. Then I was pregnant of my second daughter at that time, and Then I stopped driving for a very long time. I restarted driving in 2020 during the pandemic because I took some hidden driving lessons.
Really?
From a friend of mine, and now I can drive.
Wow. Was that the hardest thing to do for a Venetian to drive? Do you imagine? Is this something scary?
No, not scary, but it's not about being a Venetian. It's about starting driving when you are so old. Because when you are 18, everything comes automatically.
Right.
When you are 34 or later 50, you have to think about everything.
Wow.
And, yes.
Wow. So architect Marta.
But I can drive a boat.
You can drive a boat.
And I have the boat driving license.
So let me ask you this question, okay?
Yes.
This is funny. Is every Venetian expected to know how to drive a boat?
If they are expected. Not really, because if you have a boat, yes, of course. And
Awesome. So architect Marta, let's move on from architect Marta to someone who's worked with the European Parliament. Tell me a little more about what you did there.
I was the consultant of a Europarliamentarian that was not based in Venice, but his electoral collegium was here, included Venice. So I was in charge of organizing some activities for him to keep a little bit of his public relation here and to organize something, sometimes conferences, to write something sometimes, things like that. And it was very interesting because he was in a super interesting commission. You know that the European Parliament is divided in commission, and he was in the Agriculture Commission. So that was super nice, interesting because they were discussing the new rules for the agriculture.
So the skill that you got to develop or exercise here was more diplomatic in nature?
Not really diplomatic nature, if we say in the diplomatic, but more of a relationship.
I see. I see. And how long did you do that?
Pardon?
How long did you do that for?
For 2 years.
For 2 years. Okay.
Yes. For 2
Then
years.
when did you actually start moving towards cooking? You said it was something that you were in between two. So can we go back to that part?
And I started cooking with these friends in this for these cooking classes that happen like once a week, and then at a certain point we were asked from a concierge, from an agent, to cook for a person that was coming to Venice and that wanted to.
So it was just an ad hoc request. Hey, there's someone coming. Can you cook for it? Okay. Wow.
Yes.
So then, how did that experience lead you into doing more?
It happened that this was a very important person, and she then invited us abroad to work for her for a few events that she was organizing. So this ended up, people started to be curious about us.
Yeah, because this was your first gig and you just went all out on it.
Yes.
Do you think it was fortune, or it was you prepared to be in the right place at the right time? What do you think about that?
Well, it's never fortune. I'm not the one that prepares. And I think that when you prepare, something doesn't work. It was both. On one, fortune, and also the fact that we were very spontaneous and everything was arriving. And we were full of enthusiasm and how we still are.
Yeah. Awesome. Switching back from career to something that is core to your existence, which is Venice. As someone foreign to Venice, in the last few years, I've been hearing a lot about the scare of this city going down underwater in the next 20 years or 40 years or 30 years. As a Venetian, what do you think about this? Is this something truly concerning? And what are your views on that? And how does that impact on all the other things that the Venetian kids would think about doing in the future?
It's true that something will happen, but what I think and what I hope more than think is that someone will do something for protecting Venice. And I'm quite sure that there will be a force in the world that will to protect Venice, and not just the Venetian administration or the Italian government. So I hope something will go in that direction. I'm not scared about this. I'm not very much scared about this when you mention kids in 20 years.
Yes.
Because maybe the most scary thing for citizens now in Venice is over tourism. The fact that many people are leaving Venice because they cannot afford an apartment, and the city is becoming in some part more and more given completely to the over tourism. So if the water will raise because no one would have taken care of it, it will raise in an empty ghost town. So I think the first thing that should be done is doing something for keeping Venice as a city, and then for protecting Venice from environmental problems, issues. Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing that, actually. Mm-hmm. Moving on to architecture again. It's been part of your life, mm-hmm. early life as well, which, has a deeper impression on an individual. Mm-hmm. When you learn something in the childhood and, your parents are doing that. Do you think not continuing in architecture was a waste of time studying architecture, or did you see? No. Okay. I want to hear from you. How did that help in what you're doing today, or anything else that you did?
I think that when you study something, you become that thing that you are into. So I haven't just been studying architecture. I am an architect. I think I'll be an architect even though I won't be working as an architect. And so every job I did in my life goes together, and they all go and arrive in my kitchen. Mm-hmm. So I don't know exactly how to explain you, but when I work for bigger events, there's always an aesthetic point of view, which I try to put into things.
No, I understand. I see your point. Actually, you can go in detail about that. I understand your point.
I will show you a few pictures later, yes, if you want, about this. And there's also, when you prepare a meal, for instance, for a person, I always have an attention to the fact of giving them local and seasonal ingredients, but also ingredients that when you put them all together on the table, for instance, the entree, the first, the main, and the dessert, they all fit together in terms of colors. Because I think that in a sequence of a meal, Italian meals are organized in a strange way in comparison of American meals. You don't have just one dish, but you have several different dishes. So I try to have an harmony, build something that goes together. And this comes from my cultural background.
That's amazing.
That's of course.
That is amazing, and that is what Jack of All is all about. I truly believe that everyone is a Jack of All. It's just that they haven't realized that yet, or probably they are not confident enough, or not as happy enough, or may not have had a great childhood like you and I did. Right? This is such an inspiring story. Now coming back to.
Sometimes,
go ahead.
Sometimes people they would like to change, but there's something stopping them.
Right.
Like they don't have the courage. They feel they have to be super brave, right, or to do that.
So if you had to give a short message to all the Jack of Alls listening today in India and around the world, what would that message be in English?
My message is that. Life will always call you to work hard and do sacrifices. If you do them for the thing you love, it won't be a sacrifice. It will just be part of it. If you do, you have to figure out, and you are very lucky if you find your talent. and you find what you really love, because it's not easy. Not everyone has this luck. I feel myself as a lucky person.
Absolutely.
Because I've been trying to experiment, and I've found, also because I have had the possibility of doing it. But as soon as you find a job you would do for free, you will be an happy person.
I agree with you. Thank you so much. And I do relate, but I want to also request you to say that in Italian as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because I think sometimes the true meaning gets lost in translation. So if you want to say something in Italian to the Jack of all fans, go ahead. The same thing, but in Italian.
Ok. Se hai la fortuna di trovare il tuo talento e quello che ami fare, se hai la fortuna di trovare la cosa che faresti anche gratis, falla e diventerà il lavoro più bello del mondo.
Bravo, grazie. Thank you so much.
I said it will become the cutest job in the world. But I feel myself as a lucky person.
Absolutely. And tell me more about food, and why is Italian cuisine so seemingly high calorific, but it doesn't do anything to your body? But I have the same ravioli in the United States and I put on 20 pounds just by eating 5. Why does that happen?
Yes, fortunately, we still have a tradition of using ingredients and not industrial food. So when I say ingredient, is that if we make the ravioli with pumpkin, is because we start from a pumpkin and from flour, and or we can also have a very simple cuisine, but starting from the ingredients. As I was telling you before, Michael Pollan, this writer, says, go and make your groceries, pretending your grandmother is beside you. And
so how do you do that? You walk into a grocery store.
Yes.
And then you just pretend that your grandmother is right next to you. And by grandmother, we mean that virtual grandmother. And then what do you do?
Well, if I pretend my grandmother is beside me, and if I grab something from the how do you say
the shelf?
The shelf, and I think if my grandmother wouldn't recognize this as food because it looks different, because it's has lots of packaging around, has more than a certain number of ingredients, just leave it there. It's not good for you.
So I know you have a lot of influential and important to the world clients, and the general sense is that those people actually prefer private cooks and chef and food that is probably grown in a backyard and cooked right in front of them in the table. Can you share more about those experiences, and how is it different from serving a regular client like me and a super rich person like Ambani?
I tell you something.
Yeah.
When I cook for someone, I never want to know who this person is, because I'll cook the same way for the person that will clean the street and the person that will, or at least I try.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't like Googling my clients before I meet them, because otherwise I will have having a distorted opinion of people. I don't want to have an opinion of people when I meet them for cooking. So I just try to do my best.
Yeah.
And when you work with this type of client, maybe there are people coming to Venice quite frequently, so you know their habits. There's they rely on you, they know you, so this is the relationship.
Italy has been in the news lately because of one of the most influential business tycoons in India. Their youngest son was getting married here.
Okay.
The Ambanis. Have they been your client before? Have you served them there?
my client for a very small piece of their huge engagement party at Como Lake years ago.
Oh wow.
Yes,
Wow.
yes. But it was something so big, and we were just a very small part of it. But it's been amazing. I
So
mean,
what was the uniqueness that you brought to that party?
well, it was. I was cooking together with another lady, and she was more the artistic side of the group, and we did something aesthetically very Italian, very. I think and hope very nice.
What was
but it was a couple of rooms in the villas where they were having their engagement party, where we've been setting cakes, flowers, and recreating an atmosphere. It's almost all the time about creating an atmosphere.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so when you have in your background art history of architecture, and working with food is not so different than working with colors, with the clay, with you know,
Different chemicals mixing together.
exactly, and colors and textures, and it's the same that what you would do as an architect.
yeah.
And
Have you ever had a difficult client, or are all rich clients a little difficult?
all clients are a little difficult. It doesn't matter if they are rich or not.
Well, at least the rich can do a lot more about being difficult. But specifically, what I want to know is not in general, like not a general opinion, but specifically, say as a chef, as an innovative person that you are, that I know. You try something new, something innovative. You don't know whether someone is going to like or not.
Yes.
How did that ever go wrong with you, and how was that experience?
Well, it can happen sometimes, but I feel that you always have to feel and confident with what you do. And if you believe in what you do, you make an experiment. I make many experiments, I tell you.
Yeah.
And I try, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it's not a drama. It's never a drama. As I told you before, I'm not making art surgery. I'm just cooking. So, and it's mainly for fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, because people are together, they want to have a party, and so
Right.
we're not like, you know, cutting a person and.
Makes sense.
Yes.
So tell me more about this Tavola.
A tavola.
Yeah. Advertise it to my audience.
A tavola is this space, is this kitchen, and is a place that's been, as I told you before, renovated a few years ago by a group of entrepreneurs, food lovers, and willing to have a space where to have themselves a place where to spend time with friends and give to people the opportunity of having a cooking experience. Yes.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. And
A tavola means when you sit, when you are in an Italian house and the meal is ready and is served, your mama in general would scream, "A tavola!" means come to the table. A tavola is
tavola.
the table. A tavola. And this is like the table with the chairs around. The logo.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Wow. A tavola! Okay.
Great.
Going to the last piece of our segment here.
Yes.
And something that we already spoke about. But I do want you to touch upon it again.
Okay.
Majority of the Indians in India are vegetarians, close to vegans as well. They prefer vegetarian food, and especially friends and family when they go to countries like European countries like Italy or Spain or France. I generally get the feedback that, oh, we didn't get the food. We don't get good food, or we don't get vegetarian food. Though my strong belief is they do get vegetarian food. It's just that they don't like the taste of the food and they can't tell if it is like, all vegetarian or not. That aside, can you tell me why Italian food, the traditional Italian food, has a wide range of vegetarian options rather than meat?
Yes, because our cuisine is a poor cuisine. We were a very poor country.
How do you say that in Italian? Is there a saying for that?
La cucina italiana è una cucina povera.
Povera,
Poor.
okay.
Povera, una cucina povera. And I'm writing a book about the cucina povera, by the way.
Wow.
Yes.
Any
I'm spoiling you. I'm not telling
no
you
problem.
more.
Okay, sure. I'll wait for you. Yeah. But is it coming next year or year after that?
Yes.
Okay, great. We'll talk more.
Yeah. So a cuisine that was made by poor ingredients, vegetables and beans, lentils, seeds, grains, pasta, rice, good olive oil, which is really the most important thing of the Italian cuisine, and little cheeses, olives, and local fresh vegetables that you could grab in a garden. Or also in Venice we also have small fishes because we have the lagoon here. But yes, but most of the traditional regional Italian dishes, many of them are vegetarian.
Wow.
And you can also build some vegan option.
Yeah.
Yes, because I often have vegan clients, and it's not hard for us to switch into vegan. Yeah.
So, in no way I'm trying to form an opinion here. This is just out of an observation. The last time I was in Italy, I found that Venetians are, if not 3 times, at least 2 times more nicer than Italians in Rome or Italians in any other part of Italy other than Venice. Do you agree? And if yes, why is that so?
I tell you the truth, I don't believe you. I'm not quite sure I believe to you.
Okay.
Do you think they are so nice?
To be honest, I don't think they're nice. It's not like the Romans are rude.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is the Venetians are 2 times nicer because I believe that they do understand the foundation of Venice's tourism and nicecities, and tourism is all about having fun and smiles. Probably Rome is not probably it should be because Rome has God sitting in there. But yeah, so have you not heard of this before?
You've been very lucky, I tell you.
Yeah.
You've been very lucky.
Oh, wow.
I'm joking, of course, but you've been lucky. Sometimes we Venetians get nervous with these too many tourists, and in the street. I also sometimes, when you walk, you have the grocery trolley and everyone is walking slowly like this, watching everything, and you would say, please let me go. So sometimes we can be rude, I tell you the truth. But I'm glad you met nice people.
I met all the nice people.
Yes.
You are one of them.
But you said something interesting. Not just that we Venetians are aware that tourism is important and so, but we Venetians have been merchants for centuries in the East and Far East world. So we are used to deal with people from all around the world.
So
and this is a historical resource.
So can I say that means that the Venetians have the adaptability and the acceptance for new culture and new thought and different kind of people more than other parts of Italy which may have not been as exposed to merchants. Because one thing that I heard on my tour yesterday was also that Venice doesn't believe in a king and never believed in a king or a leader or a parliament. There was no face or a name to it. It was always all about Venice.
Yes.
Venice has its own identity and people don't give that identity to Venice. Venice is its own.
And very much about democracy. because we have a very old, we have had a very old democracy in Venice.
Right.
And we have had many communities of people from abroad living here and working as merchants in Venice.
Wow.
We had huge relationship with all the Mediterranean area, and we had communities of people from abroad that used to live in the past here, where in the rest of the world there were not.
Wow.
Like Greek, Turkey,
Wow. Yeah.
Germans, and Albanian,
Yeah.
and
Wow, Marta.
Persian.
Wow.
Yeah.
Marta, I would have loved to speak to you for another 2 hours, but probably when you are out with your book next year, I will have you over in the United States and we can have a conversation in my studio in Seattle. But thank you so much for letting us not only use your studio, but sharing such wonderful insights, especially in Italian, to all my audience members. Thank you so much, Marta.
Thank
we
you.
Really appreciate
It was
it.
a pleasure.
Thank
It was
you.
a pleasure.
Thank you for being on
Grazie.
Jack of All.
Bye bye.
Bye.